Every night feels the same. You lie down, fall asleep, but when the clock strikes around 3 in the morning, your eyes open as if something is calling you. There's no noise, no movement, just the dark silence of the early hours and a feeling that your body has woken up for no reason. Many seniors report this frequently, thinking it's just a habit of aging. But what if this repetition hides something we've forgotten to listen to closely? Louise Hay, known for her work on self-healing and mental patterns, believed that certain times carried specific messages. Waking up at the same moment wouldn't be a coincidence, but rather a kind of warning. In this video, we'll explore why this 3 a.m. awakening is so common in older age and what it might be revealing about your body, your mind, and your life story. Stay with me until the end, and if this topic has resonated with you, please consider subscribing and giving us a thumbs up. Louise Hay was neither a doctor nor a scientist, but she dedicated her life to observing repetitive patterns in human behavior. For her, the body spoke in silent words, and specific times could carry meanings that went beyond the biological. According to her studies, waking up between 3 and 4 in the morning could be a sign that repressed emotions were trying to surface. Not just any emotions, but those we've carried for years, perhaps decades. For seniors, this becomes even more evident as we accumulate experiences, losses, and regrets throughout life. It's at this point that the body, free from the day's distractions, finds a space to communicate. But why exactly at 3 a.m.? This time slot has even been studied by Eastern medicine, associating it with the functioning of specific organs. The connection between the physical and the emotional may be more present than we imagine, especially when age brings silence and time for reflection. During deep sleep, the body performs functions that go unnoticed. Between 2 and 4 a.m., the liver enters a phase of intense detoxification. But according to Louise Hay, this activity isn't just chemical. The liver, she used to say, is the organ linked to anger, resentment, and old hurts. And when these emotions haven't been processed during youth, they end up manifesting at specific times as a warning. Waking up at this moment, therefore, would be more than a physiological response. It would be the soul trying to release what remained trapped in the body. Many seniors report that upon waking at this hour, they experience intense thoughts, old memories, and even regrets that return to mind uninvited. This involuntary wakefulness may seem like an annoyance, but it can also be seen as an opportunity. What are we trying to resolve in silence? What unfinished business insists on presenting itself while everyone else is asleep? If you're over 60, you may have noticed that your relationship with time has changed. Nights have become longer and sleep lighter. This change is natural as we age, but when the same hour keeps repeating itself, it's a sign that the body wants to be heard more closely. Louise Hay suggested that at these times, instead of fighting to go back to sleep, we should listen. Breathe deeply, welcome whatever thought arises, and ask, what am I avoiding feeling? In many cases, this awakening comes loaded with old memories, unresolved pains, or even fears that we avoid facing during the day. It's not a weakness to feel this. It's part of life. It's the body saying it's time to deal with what's been stored away. And the more we ignore it, the more it insists. 3 a.m., in this context, stops being just an inconvenient time and becomes a kind of silent call. There's also an important cultural aspect. We live in a society that values continuous sleep as a sign of health, but for our ancestors, waking up in the middle of the night was common. There was even an old term called first sleep and second sleep. People would sleep for a few hours, wake up around 3, meditate, write, pray, and then go back to sleep. Louise Hay, in Retrieving Inner Wisdom, seems to be in dialogue with this forgotten practice. What was seen as insomnia could in fact be a precious time for self-communion. For seniors, who often face painful silences during the day, this moment can become a refuge. It's not easy to look inward when you're alone, but perhaps that is precisely the invitation, a space between the outer world and the inner, where there are no obligations, only listening, a pause offered by the body itself, asking for attention and acceptance. By understanding this perspective, it's possible to change one's relationship with this awakening. Instead of seeing it as a disturbance, we can view it as a point of contact between body and consciousness. Louise Hay believed that nothing happens without purpose. So when the clock strikes 3 a.m. and your eyes open for no apparent reason, perhaps there's something waiting to be acknowledged. A pain that hasn't found its voice, a forgiveness that hasn't been spoken, or simply the need to feel that there's still time to understand your own story. Aging isn't the end, but a phase where one's gaze turns inward with greater clarity. And this hour can be the moment when everything quiets down so that what is essential can be revealed. Repetition is not coincidence, it's insistence. And the more we deny it, the more it returns. It's up to us to decide whether we will continue to fight the clock or learn to listen to what it wants to say. It's curious how many seniors share the same feeling upon waking at this hour. It's not exactly anxiety, nor a clear fear. It's something more subtle, as if the body is on alert but without a visible cause. Louise Hay spoke of the importance of recognizing these signs as manifestations of the mind seeking balance. And sometimes, the simple act of recognizing this already changes the experience. When a person wakes up at 3 a.m. and thinks something is wrong, the discomfort increases. But if they understand it can be an opportunity for inner listening, fear transforms into presence. It's in this change of posture that we begin to reframe the moment. It's not always easy. There may be tears, memories, or even physical discomfort. But, with time, it becomes familiar. And often, it is in this space of silence and acceptance that new understandings about oneself and the life one has lived so far are born. Another point that deserves attention is nocturnal loneliness. During the day, there are distractions, commitments, conversations. At night, everything falls silent, and seniors may find themselves confronting their own emptiness. Waking up at 3 a.m. in this context can intensify this loneliness. But Louise Hay proposed an inversion, transforming this time into self-care. Having a notepad by the bed to jot down thoughts, keeping a small prayer or mantra, creating a simple ritual of self-awareness. This doesn't erase the loneliness, but it offers a way for it not to become suffering. Age brings losses, yes, but it also offers time. Time to look inward, understand patterns, heal wounds. And these unexpected awakenings can become precious if welcomed with intention. Not as a problem, but as a natural part of the cycle of someone who has lived a lot and now begins to revisit their own path with more calm and depth. Many sleep specialists treat these awakenings as disorders. They offer medications, sleep hygiene techniques, and stimuli to ensure continuous rest. And indeed, there are cases where this is necessary. But when the repetition follows a pattern, when the time is the same, when the senior reports waking up with thoughts or emotions, it's necessary to look beyond. Louise Hay argued that the body has its own wisdom, often ignored. And when it insists on waking up at the same hour, perhaps it is giving us a chance to repair something that remained unresolved. This does not exclude medical care, nor does it replace appropriate treatment, but it complements with a broader vision. Science explains the body's functioning. Emotional wisdom helps us understand what it wants to communicate. The union of these two perspectives is what can offer seniors more than just a night's sleep. It can offer peace. Another important aspect is that waking up at 3 a.m. may be related to deep fears, especially those connected to life's finiteness. At this stage of life, many have already said goodbye to loved ones, faced illnesses, or simply begun to reflect on their own mortality. Louise Hay approached this topic with serenity. She used to say that death was not the end, but a transition, and that our deepest fears tend to appear when we are not too busy to notice them. Waking up in the middle of the night can be the moment when this fear whispers most strongly. Not to frighten, but to ask for solace. Recognizing this fear, naming it, writing about it, talking to someone, all of this helps. Denying it does not eliminate it. Facing it does not make it heavier. On the contrary, it makes it possible to go through it with more dignity. And each night this happens can be a step in that personal journey. The repetition of waking at the same hour, therefore, should not be ignored or treated as mere chance. When the body insists on interrupting sleep at the same moment, especially at 60, 70, or 80 years old, it is, in some way, trying to reorganize what is still not at peace. Louise Hay encouraged her readers to observe patterns with curiosity, not judgment. The same applies to this phenomenon. Instead of fighting the clock or blaming yourself for not sleeping well, try asking yourself what is being revealed. It could be a memory, an annoyance, a longing, an unmade decision. The silence of the early morning is like a blank page, and sometimes it is precisely at that hour that something wants to be written, understood, or concluded. The body wakes up, but it is the soul that is asking for attention. When we accept this, the awakening ceases to be an inconvenience and becomes part of the maturing process. If there's one legacy Louise Hay left, it was teaching that the body never lies. It holds what we've lived, what we've felt, and even what we've forgotten. As we age, this listening becomes even more essential. What was once ignored by life's fast pace now appears with more clarity, and when this body awakens at 3 a.m., it may be saying there is still time. Time to forgive, to remember, to accept. It doesn't matter if you have trouble sleeping or feel tired the next day. The important thing is what you do with this moment. It can be discomfort or it can be a profound encounter. It can be forgotten or it can be embraced. It's up to each person to choose how they wish to deal with it. But knowing that there is a possible meaning changes everything. Perhaps it won't change the time you wake up, but it changes how you feel when you open your eyes in that deep silence. Many seniors wonder if they are alone in experiencing this, but the truth is that this experience is more common than one might imagine. Waking up at the same time, especially around 3 in the morning, is reported by thousands of people worldwide. This creates a kind of silent connection among those who share this moment. Louise Hay used to say that there is a collective wisdom expressed through recurring patterns, and when something happens to so many people, with such frequency, it's a sign that there's a message there. Not a single answer, but an invitation to listen. If you've ever woken up at this hour, looked at the clock and stayed in silence, perhaps you felt there was something more in that instant. This feeling, however subtle it may seem, is real. And when we listen to it with respect, it can lead us to memories, feelings, and truths that have been waiting for space for a long time. It's important to emphasize that this recurrent awakening should not be seen as a personal failing. As the years pass, the body changes and so does sleep. Hormone production shifts, the brain processes information differently, and rest takes on a different rhythm. But beyond physical issues, there's an internal movement that needs space. Louise Hay advocated that emotions don't disappear with time. They simply transform into contained energy within the body. And throughout life, this energy needs to move. The early morning offers this space. It's when the world quiets down that the inner self speaks loudest. This is why many seniors report not only waking up, but also intense dreams, vivid memories, and even unexpected tears at this hour. The body awakens, but it's the mind that is reorganizing itself. By understanding this, discomfort gives way to curiosity, and the night ceases to be the enemy of rest. Another relevant point is what this awakening can teach us about how we deal with time. Louise Hay spoke a great deal about our relationship with the past, present, and future. Waking up at 3 a.m. can place us exactly at this point of intersection. It's when the previous day has already passed and the new day has not yet begun, an interval that, for seniors, can be symbolic. In this space, questions arise like, what do I still need to resolve? What did I not say? What do I still wish to do? These questions can be uncomfortable, but they are also liberating. By allowing them to surface, even without immediate answers, we are initiating a process of reconciliation with our own history. There's no right age for this. Each person lives this time uniquely. But when the body calls at this hour, perhaps it is precisely because the moment has come to look at all of this with more honesty. There is also the spiritual aspect, which for many seniors becomes more present with the passing years. This is not necessarily about religion, but a search for meaning. Louise Hay used to say that life is always trying to heal us, even in the simplest moments. Waking up in the early hours might seem like a physical annoyance, but it can also be a kind of window to something larger. In this silence, many people report feeling a presence, an intuition, a clarity they don't have during the day. It can be the ideal moment for a sincere prayer, an inner conversation, or just to breathe and feel that one is alive. For many, this is what sustains the meaning of existence, and when that meaning is rediscovered, even sleep takes on another significance. It's no longer about sleeping through the night, but about living each moment with more attention, even those that seem to have no value at first glance. There are accounts of people who, after accepting this awakening as part of their routine, began to experience significant changes. Not in sleep itself, but in how they dealt with their emotions, their memories, and even their daily choices. Louise Hay encouraged the creation of small rituals for these moments. It could be writing 3 lines in a notebook, consciously drinking a glass of water, or simply sitting for a few minutes in silence. There's no need to turn this into an obligation. Just make the moment conscious. When seniors understand that this time can be an ally and not a villain, they begin to take ownership of their own experience. This builds confidence, lightness, and even improves sleep quality over time. Not because the awakening disappears, but because it is no longer feared. And when something stops causing us fear, it loses its power over us. This is a lesson worth learning. It is essential to remember that the body and mind work together. Waking up at 3 a.m. frequently should not be dismissed, but it also doesn't have to be seen as something negative. Louise Hay taught us that everything can be an opportunity for listening, learning, and transformation. If you find yourself in this pattern, perhaps it's time to look at it with more kindness. Ask yourself what this hour has to show you. Maybe an immediate answer won't come, and that's perfectly fine. The important thing is the willingness to listen. Aging brings many challenges, but it also offers a rare chance for reconciliation with your own life. And this chance might begin precisely with that small, persistent, nocturnal awakening. What seems like a minor detail can, in fact, be a silent turning point. By recognizing this, you transform not only your night, but also how you live your days. Sometimes what wakes us up isn't just the body, but a part of the mind that has been waiting for too long. It could be a childhood memory, a choice that still weighs on us, a conversation that never happened. Louise Hay used to say that the past only loses its power when we acknowledge it with compassion, and waking up at 3 a.m. might be the exact moment when that past asks to be seen. The body, free from distractions, becomes the stage for remembrance. Instead of pushing this moment away, try to embrace whatever comes. Not everything needs to be resolved immediately. The simple act of acknowledging that something needs attention already brings relief. Life doesn't always offer easy answers, but it offers signs. And when these signs repeat, like this nocturnal awakening, it's because there's something that can still be understood. Even if it's uncomfortable, this process can be liberating. And at this stage of life, emotional freedom is the most valuable asset. Most people spend decades trying to control their routines, their feelings, and their future. But there is wisdom in realizing that what we most need is not control, but understanding. Louise Hay encouraged simple practices like sincerely affirming to oneself that it's perfectly all right not to have all the answers. Waking up at 3 a.m. can be a reminder of this. A gentle call to accept what is, without rushing to change. For seniors who have experienced so many phases of life, perhaps this is the greatest gift, the chance to look at themselves with less judgment and more acceptance. If each night brings this same moment, perhaps it's not repeating by chance. It might be offering you a conversation that no one else can have with you but yourself. And in that silence, there is a profound wisdom that can only be accessed when the outside world quiets down and the inner world opens up. Even those who have never believed in anything spiritual can find a reconnecting experience at this hour. Not with something mystical, but with their own essence. Louise Hay always emphasized that true power lies within each person and that it can be accessed at any time. 3 a.m., with its strange punctuality, can be that key. A moment when the body is more sensitive, the mind clearer, and the heart more receptive. It's there that one can perceive what has been ignored for decades. It's not about having answers, but about asking the right questions. What do I still need to forgive? What still prevents me from resting in peace? What am I waiting to let go of? Simple, yet powerful questions. And they gain strength when asked in that moment of silence. Seniors with their life experience are the most prepared to answer these questions, provided they have the courage to listen to them carefully. Transforming the 3 a.m. awakening into a moment of self-knowledge is a choice. You can continue to fight against it, take medicine and complain about the clock, or you can decide to look inward and ask what is being asked of you. Louise Hay left many teachings, but perhaps the most valuable of them is the trust in each person's capacity to heal, to listen to themselves, and to transform their own reality. This does not require grand actions, just presence, acceptance, and a little courage. Each night when sleep is interrupted, instead of getting annoyed or feeling lost, try to breathe deeply, sit for a few minutes, and just feel. It may be that over time, this moment transforms into one of the most important of your day, not because it brings magical answers, but because it offers a space that is uniquely yours. A time of listening where everything can be said, even in silence. This hour might be the way your body has found to ask for reconciliation with your memories, with your history, and even with what is yet to come. After all, aging is not waiting for death, but a new stage where the focus shifts. One begins to desire less haste, less distraction, and more meaning. Louise Hay saw in this a reunion with one's own soul. And when this reunion happens, even sleep changes. You don't necessarily sleep more, but you rest better, because the mind is less burdened and the heart lighter. If you feel that 3 a.m. has become part of your routine, perhaps it's time to stop fighting against this clock. It's not late, nor is it early. It's exact. Marking the right time for something within you to finally be heard, accepted, and released. And by doing so, you not only sleep better, you live better. If this video has resonated with you, please consider sharing it with someone who might also be waking up at this hour and feeling confused or tired. Perhaps this message can help transform a solitary experience into something lighter, more conscious. And if you'd like to follow other content like this, please subscribe to the channel. Here we talk about what many avoid, but what everyone will one day need to face: time, the soul, and listening to oneself. Because aging can be more than dealing with losses. It can be the deepest phase of understanding and reconnecting with who we've always been. And sometimes it all begins with a simple awakening in the middle of the night. What you decide to do with it is what will make all the difference in the days to come. Thank you for listening until the end. I hope that next time you wake up at 3 a.m., you'll know you are not alone. There is meaning in this moment, there is wisdom in this silence, and there is life where there is still listening.